Welcome to the Writer's Life, the place where you get to sight, sound, smells, taste of my particular writer's life, and where you get the truth about the writer's life. Subscribe if you haven't already. You know, a lot of people watch, but they don't subscribe, so subscribe, that would help. Punch the like button and tap the bell for notifications so that you don't miss out on one single exciting video. You might hear some sounds of construction going on next door, but see, I'm used to it because I come from a construction background, but I could take a nap with this going on, but anyway, you might not hear anything. So my Facebook account is still in limbo somewhere out there in the ether, and it still thinks I'm Hot Hannah. Couldn't even get my name right. You know, if I were to have been a girl, my mother was going to name me Andrea. You know, so at least they could have, whoever hacked me could have been Hot Andrea, right? But anyway, I have the webmaster working on that, and I haven't heard anything from them, so I don't know. And I was able to send Instagram a note because Facebook said log into your Instagram account and dispute this if you need to. And so I just did that. Maybe that'll work. I don't know. But I don't know. I'm not really that worried about it. Like I said, has it affected sales? I don't know yet. I have no idea. We'll see. Anyway, there's worse things in life, right? So I wanted to tackle this one thing about this one aspect of my career, and maybe your career if you're a writer, and that is publishing opportunities. A lot of people have quit. A lot of people, I've been talking to a lot of writers, not just the ones I've had on the show, but a lot of other writers too. And we always mention how how we've been into it for like 25 years or whatever, and we consider ourselves survivors because so many writers have just given up because they think like it's over. There's only 4 publishing houses left or whatever, and if I were to try to convince them to come back, I think there's no better time to be a writer than ever before, because I think there's just unbelievable opportunities. There's so many opportunities to publish that I can't even wrap my head around it. I mean, just juggling the Amazon platform and the draft to digital platform alone, and the draft to digital platform has I don't know how many publishing houses, or not publishing, or has a whole bunch of stores and publishing platforms is what I was looking for. That I can't, it's tough to wrap my head around it, and everything's global and whatever. My problem with draft to digital has been that I've been getting in and out of it, and going, in favor of going exclusive with Amazon. So I get the freebies and I get the Kindle countdown deals and stuff like that. But for now I'm resolving myself. I'm going to use the Amazon Kindle Unlimited for the first 3 months, and then everything goes wide. And I'm going to stick to that program. That's it. Maybe on occasion I'll pull a book out just for the hell of it and put it back into KU, but doubtful. And therefore I need to kind of catch on again in draft to digital. If there's one thing they hate over there, it's a guy like me who's constantly delisting a book and then listing it and delisting it and listing it and delisting it and listing it. And I think when you do that, the publishers don't like it either. Or not the publishers, the stores don't like it either. And they kind of push you down in the algorithm until they know, or until the algorithm anyway knows that okay, you have staying power. So I'm really pushing that now. And there's a way for you to join draft to digital so that you get notified of all my new releases, which are a lot. and you can find that down there. Oh, speaking of that, I forgot to mention, go to vinzandrew.com, vinzandrew.com to get all your, to take two. Go to vinzandrew.com, go to vinzandrew.com, www.vinzandrew.com for all your thriller needs. All right, I did that right. I forgot to do it earlier. You got to show. So anyway, but there's like, okay, so, but there's also like Substack. That is kind of working out okay for me. I've got, I don't know how many thousands of free subscribers, but like, my paid subscribers are growing. I just got another $50 the other day for someone who subscribed for the year, and it's just growing, little bits by little bits. And, I put new fiction on there, or I'll put something in there that might have run on Vella before, and then I'll put it into Substack. There's, like I just said, Vella. There's Vella. I've been using that. I use that more as a writing tool, which I've mentioned before. There's Wattpad. There's all sorts of like Wattpad imitators out in Asia. There's Medium. There's your own website. If you want, you could just publish on your own website and that's it. And then just get the word out via social media or whatever, or your subscriber list. You could just publish on BookFunnel if you wanted. Set up a page for every book you have. I mean, you could publish use Shopify as a store, which I plan on definitely setting up a Shopify store between now and the end of the year. I mean, there's just so many opportunities to get your books out there. There's Publish Drive, and then there's a bunch that I just don't know. You guys can. I got to turn the chat on. You guys can educate me if you want. But anyway, like this came to like it just dawned on me like the opportunities that are out there because I'm currently working with somebody on her biography. It's an autobiography about her life in law enforcement, and we're definitely going to turn this into a book, but we're talking to my agent about it and he's involved, but he wants to go for a traditional deal, which makes sense. That's what he's for. But whereas it might have been, 20 years ago, only one way to publish a book, and that was traditionally through the houses, big or small. Now it's like I have no question in my mind that her book is going to come out one way or the other. I mean, even if Bear Media does it, her book is definitely going to come out, and I bet you it sells well because she's attractive, she's smart. She'll do a lot of speeches and a lot of talks and get some local and maybe even nationwide publicity behind it. She's already gotten nationwide publicity, so I have no doubt that the book will sell. But we're just trying the traditional route first, and we'll see where it goes from there. But like, there would have been a time where like, well, she's got to give me this, she's got to give me a certain amount of money for me to write it on her behalf, because it'll be so-and-so with Vincent Zandri, New York Times bestseller, which will help a lot on the cover. But now it's like, yeah, the book's going to get published one way or another, and you will, that'll mitigate the upfront costs that she's going to have to put out for me to write it. Does that make sense to you? Because that's believe it or not, a lot of popular writers ghostwrite also. You wouldn't believe the ones who do. Not that it's it's part of the business. I presently, for the past couple of years, I've been ghostwriting articles for professionals, and some of the stuff's been published like in some pretty prestigious journals and newspapers and magazines, and some not so prestigious things like blogs. But I get paid regardless. So, and I have ghostwritten book proposals before, but none of them really did much because I stopped ghostwriting proposals back in the traditional days. I was like, oh, this is for the birds. And I did one ghostwriting project that was a fiction project for a very wealthy Texas advertising / marketing guy. And he's a nice guy. He sent me all over the world to research this book, and like not in crap holes either. There was like, he was sending me to like 5-star hotels. Like in Istanbul alone, he put me up like at the Four Seasons. And the bar bill I racked up, oh my God, because I was just a kid. I was like 30 years old or something like that. I don't know. I wasn't the right guy for the job though. I got the first half of the book right, and then after that, he was like, he was like also one of those persons that was like, oh, my friend, George Bush isn't going to like this, or my friend so and so isn't going to like that, and I was like, all right, whatever. Anyway, it was a $50,000 payday. I got like 40 of it. 35 or 40, and then it was over. And from what I hear, that's usually how these things go. This project won't be like that. This project, the person I'm going to do the book for is sort of a friend too. So like, she's going to get the major discount. Maybe I'll get a little bit of a back end on the sale. So anyway, that remains to be seen. This is all should be private, so I can't tell you much more. But anyway, I'm just trying to explain to you that if one method of publishing doesn't work for you, there's a whole lot of publishing opportunities out there, like more than ever before. Even the pulp fiction writers of the 1920s, 30s, 40s, 50s, they were relegated to a traditional like system, legacy like system. They had to, excuse me, they had to package their manuscript up, throw a bunch of stamps on it, include a self-addressed stamped envelope, and we had to pop it in the mail and hope and wait. And it could take weeks, sometimes even months, to get that, hopefully, an acceptance letter. You were psyched. And I used to live during these times. I used to, not in the 20s and 30s, obviously, but back in the 90s, like the early 90s, I spent all of the 90s, almost all the 90s, up until 98 when I got my first, 99 when I got my first big deal. I spent almost 10 years like querying and waiting, sending out manuscripts, and you'd go to the mailbox and it would be overstuffed with returned manuscripts, short stories and stuff like that. And maybe if you were lucky, stuffed inside one of those would be a small business envelope from like Fred's Journal or whatever, or Fred's magazine. And you would be like, oh my God, I used that, like 99% chance that means it's an acceptance, because it means they didn't return your manuscript. And you'd go home and like open it up and look at it, and it's like, we love your story. We're going to publish it on this such and such a date, and we're going to pay you $50. And you were just like, that whole week, that whole month, you were just over the moon. That's the way it used to be. So in my opinion, this business used to be much harder. It used to be much more difficult to make a living. It used to be much more difficult to be successful. It used to be much harder to stay sane, just to stay sane. Rolling around in my bed at night, like wondering like if it would ever happen. Here's a quick story. Ray Carver went through this, right? The famous Ray Carver, now deceased. When he got his first acceptance to a nice literary journal, he actually took the acceptance letter and slept with it that night. He like put it under his pillow. That's how precious getting published was back in those days. Now it's like, all right, this doesn't work. If such and such a publishing house doesn't work, I'll go to either another one, or I'll go the independent way, or I'll go, and then throw it all onto Amazon and draft to digital, and I'm global and whatever. So, or I'll do Substack and I'll do all those platforms, or I'll do Vella and all those platforms. So you get what I'm saying? Like, there's just a million ways to publish now. It's the same in the music business. Like, you don't have to depend on a music publisher anymore. You can professionally record at home. You can professionally mix it at home, and you can get it out there via your own music publishing company, and probably make a lot more money. And what's the beauty of that? In the end, you retain your own intellectual property and most of the profits. IP is huge. Copyright is huge. Learn it. Learn intellectual property. Learn copyright, and believe me, you'll be much happier, and you'll have much more money in your pocket as well. All right, I'm rambling a little bit, which I usually do on a Friday. I will catch you guys. I will catch you Sunday, or tomorrow if there's a Black Swan event. If we have another Palestine-Israel, I guess. Sunday, I will have a guest on it. I will be coming on at 1 o'clock. 1 o'clock live Eastern Standard Time. I will have a guest on, Tony Newton, who runs Scalefluence, which is an influencing company, and he hires writers. And he's also an inventor, and I want to talk to him about all that stuff or whatever. So, like I said, this channel, when we have guests, it's not about just being a writer. It's about people who live full lives, interesting lives. So I thought he'd be a good one to have on. All right, so I'll see you guys Sunday, and ciao, ciao.